Washed. Drained of blood. Posed in a vacant lot like a mannequin, and no one has ever been charged. Elizabeth Short was born July 29, 1924, in the Hyde Park section of Boston, the third of 5 daughters born to Cleo Short and Phoebe May Sawyer. Her father built miniature golf courses until the 1929 crash wiped him out. A year later, his car turned up abandoned on the Charlestown Bridge. Everyone assumed he'd jumped. Her mother took bookkeeping work and raised 5 girls alone, believing herself a widow for over a decade. Short's health was fragile from the start: bronchitis, asthma attacks severe enough that at 15 she needed lung surgery. Doctors told her to spend winters somewhere warm, so she went to Miami for 3 years running. She never finished high school in Medford, Massachusetts. She dropped out during her sophomore year and kept moving instead. In late 1942, her mother got a letter. The dead husband wasn't dead. He was in Vallejo, California, working the Mare Island Naval Shipyard, and he wanted to explain himself. Short went out to live with him that December. She was 18 and hadn't seen him since she was 6. It didn't last, they argued. She moved out within a month, and from there her life became a string of short stays: a job at Camp Cook near Lompoc, an army sergeant she lived with who reportedly abused her, an underage drinking arrest in Santa Barbara that got her shipped back east by juvenile authorities. She went to Florida instead. It was in Florida she met Major Matthew Gordon, an Army Air Force officer recovering from a plane crash in India. He proposed by letter. She said yes. He died in a second crash on August 10, 1945, before they ever married. By July 1946, Short was in Los Angeles, ostensibly to see another serviceman she knew from Florida, Lieutenant Joseph Fickling, stationed at Long Beach. She spent her final 6 months there, waitressing, renting a room behind the Florentine Gardens nightclub on Hollywood Boulevard. People later called her an aspiring actress. She had no acting credits, no known jobs in the industry, just the hope, and the address near the clubs. The last confirmed sighting of Elizabeth Short alive was January 9, 1947. She'd just returned from a trip to San Diego with Robert "Red" Manley, a married salesman she'd been seeing. Manley said he dropped her at the Biltmore Hotel downtown, where she was supposed to meet a sister visiting from Boston. Staff there recalled her using the lobby phone. After that, accounts get thin. Patrons at the Crown Grill Cocktail Lounge, a few blocks away, reportedly saw her too. Then 6 days pass with no confirmed trace of her at all. On the morning of January 15, a woman walking with her child in Leimert Park spotted something in a vacant lot on South Norton Avenue. It was Short's body, severed completely at the waist, drained of blood until her skin had gone pallid white. The two halves lay a foot apart. Her face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth back toward her ears, a Glasgow smile. Portions of flesh had been cut away from her thigh and breasts. Her intestines were tucked neatly beneath her buttocks. Her arms were raised above her head, elbows bent at right angles, legs spread. Someone had arranged her. Aggie Underwood, a reporter for the Herald Express, reached the scene early and photographed everything: the body, the tire tracks nearby, a cement sack sitting close by that held watery blood. Detectives found a heel print pressed into the ground among those tire tracks. The autopsy came the next day, performed by County Coroner Frederick Newbar. Short stood 5'5", weighed 115 pounds, had light blue eyes and brown hair. Ligature marks circled her ankles, wrists, and neck. The cut separating her body had gone through the lumbar spine, between the second and third vertebrae, a technique called a hemicorporectomy, taught in surgical training back in the 1930s. Newbar noted almost no bruising along that incision line, meaning it was done after she'd already died. The facial lacerations measured 3 inches on the right side, 2.5 on the left. Her skull wasn't fractured, but there was bruising on her scalp and slight bleeding beneath it, consistent with blows to the face and head. That's what killed her, hemorrhage from the facial wounds, combined with shock from the beating. What never added up was the washing. Someone had cleaned Short's body after death, scrubbed the blood away, left the skin bloodless white, then carried it to a lot in a neighborhood that was, at the time, mostly weeds and empty frames of houses not yet built. That takes time. It takes a private space, water, tools capable of a clean bisection through the spine. It takes someone who either had medical knowledge or wanted it to look that way. Then there was the mail. In the weeks after the murder, someone claiming to be the killer sent letters and packages to newspapers, including, reportedly, items belonging to Short. The city was flooded with false confessions. More than 60 people eventually told police they'd killed her. None of it produced an arrest. Over 150 suspects passed through the investigation. The case is still open. No one was ever charged with the murder of Elizabeth Short. The name Black Dahlia came later, coined by newspapers in the style of the era. Some say it echoes the 1946 film More the Blue Dahlia, which had come out just months before her death. She never saw it. She never got the acting career people assumed she was chasing. The case became one of the first crimes in post-war America to hold the country's attention the way it did, front pages for weeks, tips flooding in from across the state, a young woman's private life picked apart in print before her own family had time to grieve. Books followed. Films followed. Theories multiplied for decades, attached to name after name, none of them proven. What's left is what was left that morning in Leimert Park, a vacant lot, two halves of a body a foot apart, and a case file in Los Angeles that has stayed open longer than Elizabeth Short was alive.